I'm Maeve, a 62-year-old nurse from Atlanta, Georgia, who's spent my life stitching up wounds, both the kind you see and the kind you don't. I raised my son Ryan on my own, working double shifts at the hospital after his daddy walked out when he was just a boy. Every late night, every missed birthday, every scraped-together dollar for his school supplies, it was all for him. We were a team, or so I thought, until the day he looked at me like I was a stranger and threw me out of his life. It was my birthday, and I'd woken up that morning with a flicker of hope in my chest. Despite the growing distance between Ryan and me since he married Lydia, I wanted to believe we could still be a family. I spent the morning cleaning our old craftsman-style house, the one I'd kept after years of scraping by, hanging streamers and balloons like I used to when Ryan was little. I baked his favorite peach cobbler, the kind he'd begged for as a kid, and set the table with my good china, dreaming of laughter and candlelight. By afternoon, I was nervous but excited, my hands shaking as I dialed Ryan's number. "Hey, Mama, what's up?" he answered, his voice flat, like he was already halfway out the door. I swallowed hard, forcing a smile into my words. "I was hoping you, Lydia, and the kids could come over tonight. It's my birthday, and I'm making peach cobbler. Thought we could have a family night." There was a long pause, muffled voices in the background like he was checking with someone. My heart sank a little, but then he said, "Yeah, okay. Around 6. Relief flooded me. 6 is perfect. See y'all then." I hung up, my hands still trembling, and threw myself into making everything just right. Cobbler in the oven, table set, a chocolate cake from the bakery down on Peachtree Street waiting on the counter. When the doorbell rang right on time, I practically skipped to open it, a big smile plastered on my face. But the second I saw Ryan's scowl and Lydia's smirk, my stomach dropped. The kids weren't there. "Where are the little ones?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. Lydia let out a sharp laugh, her perfectly manicured nails glinting as she crossed her arms. "We figured it was best they stayed home. Don't want them picking up any of your bad habits." Her words hit like a slap, and I blinked, stunned, looking to Ryan for some kind of defense. He just stood there, arms crossed, staring at the floor like he couldn't bear to meet my eyes. "Bad habits? Lydia, what are you talking about?" I managed, my voice cracking. She stepped closer, her eyes narrowing. "Oh, come on, Maeve. We all know how you are. Always playing the victim, guilt-tripping Ryan, meddling in our lives. You're toxic and he's done with it." Her words were venom, each one slicing deeper into the wound I'd been trying to ignore for years. I turned to Ryan, my heart pounding. "Is this true? Do you believe her?" He finally looked up, his eyes cold, unrecognizable. "You've always made everything about you, Mama. Always trying to control me. Well, I'm done." Before I could respond, Lydia smirked again. "You're nothing but a clingy old woman who can't let go." Ryan's moved on. He chose me. Something in me snapped. I stepped forward, my hand raised, ready to wipe that smug look off her face, but Ryan grabbed my arm, his grip tight enough to bruise. "Don't you dare touch my wife," he growled, shoving me back. I stumbled, catching myself on the doorframe, tears burning my eyes. "Ryan, please," I whispered. "I'm your mother." "Not anymore," he said, his voice like ice. "Get your stuff and get out. This is my house now." He turned, Lydia at his side, and they walked away, the door slamming behind them. The sound echoed in my chest, final and brutal. I sank to the porch, my knees giving out, and sobbed as the Atlanta evening closed in around me, the weight of my son's betrayal heavier than anything I'd ever carried. I don't know how long I sat on that curb, the streetlights flickering on as my tears soaked the hem of my dress. The pain in my chest was a living thing, clawing at me, whispering that I'd lost Ryan for good. That's when I heard the squeal of tires and saw Claudia's beat-up Chevy pull up beside me. Claudia's been my best friend since we were neighbors in our old apartment complex, back when we'd share coffee and dreams on our tiny balconies. She's all fire and heart, the kind of woman who'd fight the world for the people she loves. "Maeve, what in God's name are you doing out here?" she called, her voice sharp with worry as she jumped out of the car. I tried to answer, but the words choked in my throat. Ryan, he kicked me out. I finally managed, my voice breaking. Called me toxic, said I'm not his mother anymore. Lydia, she's turned him against me. Claudia's eyes flashed with fury. On your birthday? Oh, honey, get in the car. You're coming with me. I climbed into the passenger seat, my body numb, and as she drove, she kept glancing at me, her hands gripping the wheel tight. This is beyond wrong, Maeve. Ryan can't treat you like this, and that snake Lydia? She's got no right. We're gonna do something about it. I shook my head, despair weighing me down. What can I do, Claudia? He's made his choice. He's a grown man. She shot me a look, her lips set in a determined line. Grown or not, he doesn't get to treat his mama like trash. And Lydia? She's gonna learn there's a price for messing with you. I stared at her, confused but intrigued. What are you saying? A sly smile curved her mouth. I'm saying it's time for a little payback. I know someone who can help us make sure Ryan and Lydia regret this. As we sped through Atlanta's glowing streets, a tiny spark of hope flickered in me. Hope that maybe I could take back some of the power Lydia had stolen. Later that evening, we sat in a cozy booth at Miss Annie's diner, the smell of fried chicken and coffee wrapping around us like a warm blanket. Claudia sipped her iced tea, her eyes gleaming with mischief. So, who's this mystery person? I asked, my curiosity outweighing my exhaustion as if on cue. The door jingled, and a tall man with a weathered face and sharp eyes walked in. Maeve, meet my cousin Vince, Claudia said, waving him over. Vince slid into the booth, his presence commanding but not intimidating. Heard about your situation, he said, his voice low and steady. I'm sorry your son and his wife did you like that. It's rough. I shrugged, trying to act like it didn't hurt as much as it did. It is what it is. Claudia thinks you can help, though. Vince leaned forward, his elbows on the table. I can. I'm a private investigator, and I've got a knack for finding what people don't want found. From what Claudia's told me, I'd bet Lydia's got some skeletons in her closet. Let me dig, and if there's dirt, I'll find it. My heart skipped a beat. Could this be the way to make Lydia pay? To show Ryan who she really was? I hesitated, thinking of the boy I'd raised, the one who used to draw me pictures and beg for bedtime stories. But then I remembered his cold eyes, his harsh words. Okay, I said, my voice firm. Let's do it. Vince nodded, a glint of approval in his eyes. Give me a week. I'll be in touch. As he left, Claudia squeezed my hand. You're stronger than you know, Maeve. We're gonna make this right. For the first time that day, I felt a fire kindling inside me, not just pain but purpose. The week after my birthday dragged on like a Georgia summer, hot and endless. I tried to keep busy, scrubbing the house, tending my little garden, anything to stop my mind from replaying Ryan's words or Lydia's smirk. Claudia called every day, her voice a lifeline, reminding me that Vince was out there, digging into Lydia's past. Still, doubt gnawed at me. What if we found nothing? What if Ryan was too far gone? Finally, one morning, my phone buzzed with Vince's number. Maeve, I've got something. Meet me at my office in an hour. My pulse raced as I drove to his small office in Midtown, the Atlanta skyline looming in the distance. Claudia was already there, pacing like a caged lion. You ready? She asked, her eyes searching mine. I nodded, my stomach in knots. As I'll ever be. Vince's office was cluttered with files and coffee mugs, but his expression was dead serious as we sat across from him. He slid a folder toward me. Lydia's no angel, he said, tapping the papers. She's got a record, fraud from a real estate deal a few years back. Skimmed thousands from clients, got off with a fine and a slap on the wrist. But there's more. She's tied to a guy who worked with her, disappeared under strange circumstances. Police questioned her, but nothing stuck. I stared at the documents, a grainy photo of Lydia from a news article, her face younger but just as cold, alongside words like suspicious disappearance and ongoing inquiries. My hands shook as I read. This was the woman Ryan chose over me? Claudia gasped, but I felt a strange calm settle over me. What now? I asked. Vince leaned back, his eyes sharp. We use this. I sent Lydia the evidence, told her to get Ryan to make things right with you, or it goes public. If she refuses, we take it to the police. Claudia's grin was fierce. She's gonna wish she never crossed you, Maeve. I wanted to believe it would work, but guilt tugged at me. Ryan was my son, my heart. Could I really tear his life apart? But then I remembered the way he'd shoved me, the way Lydia had laughed. They'd left me no choice. That evening, as I paced my living room, the doorbell rang, sharp and angry. I opened it to find Ryan, his face twisted with rage. What the hell did you do, Mama? He shouted, storming inside. Lydia told me everything. Your investigator, digging up her past. You think you can blackmail us? I stood my ground, my heart pounding but my voice steady. I'm not blackmailing anyone, Ryan. I'm just showing Lydia her actions have consequences. She's been lying to you, tearing us apart. He laughed, bitter and sharp. You're the one tearing us apart. Always playing the martyr, always meddling. Lydia's my wife, the mother of my kids. I trust her, not you. His words cut deeper than I thought possible. Ryan, she's a liar, I said, my voice trembling. Vince found proof, fraud, maybe worse. You can't see it because she's got you wrapped around her finger. For a moment, he faltered, but then his face hardened. You're pathetic. I'm done with your lies, your schemes. We're through. He stormed out, the door slamming behind him. I sank to the floor, tears streaming down my face. I'd thought the truth would bring him back, but it had only pushed him further away. My phone rang. Claudia. Maeve, what happened? I choked out the story, my voice raw. It didn't work. He chose her. There was a pause. Then Vince's voice came on, firm and resolute. Then we go to Plan B. We take this to the police. This isn't just about Ryan anymore. It's about justice. I closed my eyes, exhaustion and anger warring inside me. They'd broken my heart, but I wasn't broken. Okay, I said. Let's make her pay. The next few days were a whirlwind. Vince and I gathered every scrap of evidence, documents, photos, news clippings, and marched into the Atlanta police station, Claudia by my side. The detective, a grizzled man with kind eyes, listened as we laid out Lydia's past, the fraud, the disappearance, the lies. His brow furrowed as he flipped through the file. This is serious, he said, his voice low. If this checks out, we'll reopen the case. I left the station with a strange mix of hope and dread. What if this destroyed Ryan's life? But then I remembered Lydia's smirk, Ryan's cold rejection. They'd chosen this path. A few days later, Vince called, his voice electric. Turn on the news, Maeve. I flipped on the TV, my heart racing as the anchor's face filled the screen. Breaking news. Atlanta real estate agent Lydia Bennett has been arrested in connection with a fraud scheme and the disappearance of a former colleague. I watched, transfixed, as footage showed Lydia in handcuffs, her face pale but defiant, being led from her and Ryan's suburban home. Ryan trailed behind, looking like a man who'd just had his world shattered. A fierce satisfaction burned in me. She was finally facing the music. But the news went on. Ryan had drained their savings for her bail and legal fees, a blow that would hit them hard. I waited for guilt to hit, but all I felt was that they'd reaped what they'd sown. Weeks later, Ryan showed up at my door, his face haggard, eyes red. Mama, I need your help, he said, his voice breaking. The kids. I can't do this alone. Lydia's case is killing us, and I'm drowning. Part of me wanted to wrap him in my arms, like when he was little and scared. But the memory of his betrayal stopped me cold. You should have thought of that before you turned your back on me, I said, my voice steady. You made your choice, Ryan. He flinched, but then his shoulders slumped. Can you at least take the kids for the weekend? They miss you. My heart softened at the thought of my grandchildren, caught in the middle of this mess. For them, I'll do it, I said. Not for you or Lydia. That Friday, Ryan dropped off my grandbabies, their faces lighting up when they saw me. Grandma, my granddaughter squealed, throwing her arms around me. My grandson was quieter, but he hugged me too, his small frame trembling. We spent the weekend baking cookies, playing in the backyard, and reading stories, their laughter a balm to my wounded heart. But when Ryan came to pick them up, his guarded look returned. "Don't think this changes anything," he said, his voice low. "This was a one-time thing." Anger flared in me. "You think I'm trying to turn them against you? All I've done is love them, Ryan, which is more than I can say for you and Lydia right now." His face flushed, but he just ushered the kids to the car, leaving me seething. This wasn't over, not by a long shot. The day of Lydia's trial dawned gray and heavy, like Atlanta was holding its breath. I dressed in a navy blazer and skirt, wanting to look strong, unshakable. Claudia picked me up, her face set with determination. "You ready for this, Maeve?" she asked as we drove to the courthouse. I nodded, my jaw tight. I've been ready my whole life. Vince met us on the courthouse steps, a gleam in his eye. "Got a surprise," he said. "I tracked down the family of Lydia's missing colleague. They're here to testify." My heart swelled with gratitude. This was it, the moment Lydia would face the truth. The courtroom buzzed with tension as I took my seat, my eyes locked on Lydia as she was led in, shackled and pale. Ryan sat beside her, his face a mask of pain and confusion. I forced myself to look away, focusing on the judge as the trial began. The prosecutor painted Lydia as a calculating manipulator, laying out her fraud and the suspicious disappearance in chilling detail. But it was the colleague's family that broke the room, their mother's trembling voice as she spoke of her son's dreams, their sister's tears as she described Lydia's ruthless ambition. Lydia sat stone-faced, her eyes glinting with defiance, but Ryan was unraveling, his hands shaking as he gripped the bench. When the jury returned, the foreman's voice cut through the silence. "On the charge of fraud and accessory to murder, we find the defendant guilty." The courtroom gasped, and Lydia's composure cracked, her face crumpling. Ryan stood, shouting, "No, this is wrong," but the judge silenced him, and Lydia was led away, her eyes burning into mine with pure hatred. "You'll pay for this, Maeve," she hissed as she passed. I met her gaze, unflinching. "You've already paid, Lydia. You chose this." I turned and walked out, my head high, but inside, I was a storm of emotions. Triumph, yes, but also a hollow ache. Ryan's broken face lingered in my mind. Had I gone too far? Had my need for justice cost me my son forever? Outside, the Atlanta air was crisp, and I drew my coat tight, trying to shake the doubts. Claudia squeezed my arm. "You did what you had to, Maeve." She had it coming. I nodded, but the weight of it all stayed with me. Ryan had chosen Lydia, turned his back on me, and now he was paying the price. But so was I, in a way. Over the next weeks, I threw myself into volunteering at the community center, teaching kids to garden and sharing stories with folks who'd known loss like I had. My grandbabies visited when Ryan allowed, their smiles lighting up my world. I was building a new life, one where I didn't need Ryan's approval or Lydia's lies. But late at night, when the house was quiet, I'd see Ryan's face, hear his voice calling me Mama, and wonder if I'd lost more than I'd gained. To everyone who's walked this road with me, thank you. You've seen me through heartbreak, rage, and a fight for what's right. If my story hit you where it hurts, or made you cheer for justice, hit that subscribe button and join us. Every scar tells a story of survival, strength, and starting over. Keep fighting for your truth, and I'll meet you at the next crossroads.